What is up, Paul Wog? Again, after a 1 day break. After I played at the Win last night, 1-3, about 5 hour session. Started off cold, bluffed off a stack, $500 buy-in, focused in, and then ended out 400 up after I won a flush over flush, and then I got an aces in over kings, so that was lucky. Kind of a lucky run. But of note, so my buddy analyzed my play yesterday using Gemini, and Gemini he checked my math calculations because I was just verbally saying like pot odds, equity, minimum defense frequency, break even percentage, and it seems like I was pretty accurate. And then a repeat analysis of how good is this player on a scale of 1 to 10 spit out 5 out of 10 with quotes ranging from flustered play to inconsistent mental game, poor practical application, but strong theoretical foundation. So mentally, what I was doing yesterday was practicing and thinking out loud. I think it only analyzed what I was saying, not how I was playing, because I don't think it was watching the video and seeing what was going on as far as the hands go. But I verbalized that most things, so it got a good picture. 5 out of 10. We are humbled by that, but it's good because I guess at best I was a 5-10 player. Now I'm playing 1-3, so clearly I'm not that good. And where's the error? Maybe it could be in my thought process. Maybe it could be my mental game. Also, maybe I just don't have the fire. Honestly, I haven't been playing too much, and I'm just not really caring too much when I sit down and play. But now I have a little bit of a fire because I want Gemini to analyze my game all the way up to 10 out of 10. So we're going to practice this on most of my sessions where I'm going to have Gemini analyze it, or any AI, and see if I can get a 10 out of 10. So let's get started. We are playing another 10 cent, 5 cent. I'm $10 deep. We're going to do this for 30 minutes. Next hand, I'll just start verbally analyzing everything. All right, big blind, Jack 5. This would be too wide to call. I don't like limp pots. I was playing limp pot yesterday and got in a tough situation, so I probably shouldn't be playing limp pots. Let's just check fold here. Easy. Okay, what is this cutoff range? They should be raising maybe 28%, which includes all maybe 7 X suited pluses. I would say most Broadway hands, both suited and offsuit, and then gappers. Let's see what's going on here. This guy doesn't have much to play with, so drilled the 6. I think he was good before then. All right, let's get a hand to play. King. Nope. King 9. Another limped pot. At these stakes, you'll see limped pots. In the small blind, playing a limp pot, probably not a great idea. With King 9, I'm playing for second best hand most of the time, which you can lose a stack that way. So let's reduce that error by not doing it. Probably not a positive EV play. Analyzing this flop, what are the nuts? Queens, 4s, 3s, queen 4, queen 3, 3, 4. Aces, kings. What would be the draws? 5, 6. Any suited hands? What comes in on the turn? 5, 7 gets there. That's the only thing that really changes here. He shoves way over the top, all in. He probably has a queen. What is he saying? 5, 3. Pair of 3s takes it. All right. 10, 5. 10, 5 off suit. I was playing this hand, I'd be playing about 80% of hands. Not appropriate. Oh, one thing I was working on too is frequency of flop and understanding. All right, 10 high rainbow unpaired board is probably, I'm going to guess, this occurs maybe 4% of the time. I actually wrote this out, so I'm going to look at my board over here. 10 high rainbow board, probably 3% of the time. I think Jack is, I would have hit 2 pair, but it doesn't matter. I would have hit a boat, that doesn't matter. So 10 high rainbow board, unpaired, 3% of the time. Check that one, Gemini. Did he limp on that? All right. I got to start paying attention to what these guys are doing, because that's going to make me get a better grade. Not just playing theoretical, but also adjusting. So this is Mick with the raise, and then a whole bunch of call the 3-bet after the min click. Range could be wide for any of these guys. Someone likely has a queen in there. Stack to pot ratio with Willie in there is maybe like 1.5 to 1. He could slow play a queen if he wants. As the stack to pot ratio goes lower, you can slow play more frequently. And then you can also bet for protection. As the stacks are deeper, you don't really think so much about protection. 6-4 offsuit under the gun, no good to play. Willie is erratic. He limps, min clicks. Okay, 1 poker queen in the button. Raises the limp. Queen 8-2. What are the nuts? Queens, 8s, 2s. Willie donks for roughly half pot. Then there's a raise, min click raise. Willie calls. I don't know. This is a tough. Someone's got a queen. Someone else got absolutely nothing. So players are more erratic today than yesterday. Still, I'm not getting any hands. These hands are very fast, hard to call. All right, 8-6-6. The frequency of a paired board at all is about 16%. An 8 high paired board frequency is like 0.5% is my guess. Gemini, check that one. And then right here I have 9 high. Okay. So essentially right now I'm just absorbing information, but I'm not playing any hands because I want a better grade. I'm not going to get dumb with it right now. Jack 7-5, Jack high rainbow. I'd say happens 5% of the time. 4% of the time. 10%. 10 high rainbow is 4%. Jack high rainbow 5%. The reason I'm trying to figure out and remember what the frequency of these flop types are is because it's just going to help me understand the likelihood of something happening. I'm probably not going to use it in my conscious thought process once I get to the point of, or once I play practically. But as far as like practicing and learning it and putting it in the back of my mind, so in the back of my mind I have it, I think is important. Just more information. Okay, now we have a hand. Queen 10 suited in the button. Checks back to me, A6-6. I'm gonna range bet this one. He might try to check raise this for no reason. Okay, so he calls. What were the nuts on the last board? Pair of sixes, pair of aces, any ace, six, any sixes. Once again, I don't think anything changed. I'm gonna check this back, and I might even call a river bet. Yeah, if he bet, I would have called. So I had queen high was good. He had a flush draw, and he checked and missed his flush draw. It's very hard to verbalize everything so quickly. But I want to create a system here. Okay, first thing is SPR. So I think analyze the flop. SPR, frequency of flop, analyze the flop. Decision, equity, minimum defense frequency. Break-even percentage. We're up $1.27 right now off of small pots. And players right now are erratic. With that being said, that I'm going to tend towards value play, value bets, not getting any pots I don't need to be in, so I don't have to deal with weird spots. Because even erratic players hit hands sometimes, and so you can't just call them down all the time. But if you are playing with value more frequently, you're going to show up with the value, and they're going to show up with the bluff. So that's my adjustment here. A lot of action here. 10 high, 2 flush board. A rainbow board is about 3% of the time. 2 flush board, I think, is going to be about 5% by time. 10 high, 4% of the time. So 10 high unpaired boards at all are about what? 4 and 5% of the time. So I'd say 9 total. Yeah, about 9% of the time, 10 high board. Well, that's going in the back of my brain here. We got a limped pot, ace-6 offsuit. Just going to play this passively. We do have a diamond 6. Ace-high mono board is 1% of the time total. He bets pot. I do have top pair with a diamond draw. Is this worth messing around? I might actually just... I folded a top pair on a diamond draw in a limped pot. Because I had to defend against 2 players. No point in calling one and then hitting my flush and then losing, or the flush not turning and then them betting again and then having to fold. So no more money in the pot, even with a top pair. We're still up $1.12. Let's do a little analysis of everyone's stacks at the table. We have a shortest stack is about $5, $6. So 50, 60 big blinds, shortest stack at the table. Most are sitting between 100 and 200 big blinds. There's a limp, and then I have 10-9 on the button offsuit. I'm going to raise it because I got position, and I'm just not trying to mess around with limps. We get 2 calls. Flop is 10-4-5, 10 high rainbow. The frequency of that, 4%. What's betting for value? 10s, 5s, 4s. I don't have a great 10. I'm going to check this back. So I was checking back a marginal hand. 7 comes in, so a random 6-8 is going to hit a straight. It was very plausible in their range. I'm going to call one street here. So the original limper bets 2/3 pot. I need to defend about 30%, or I need 30% equity. I think that's okay. I think if he bets big here, I'm just going to fold. So he bets, once again, 2/3 pot. Maybe be good 30% of the time. Am I good 30% of the time with someone behind me that called? What's his range look like? So he limped, checked through the flop, and then he bet big on the turn, which can include any 2 pairs, 7s, 5. His range is huge. But he continues blasting into 2 players. That minimum defense frequency is shared between me and this other player. I have a weak 10. He could have been betting a stronger 10. I don't think he's bluffing into 2 players. So I'm going to fold here. He could have missed a flush draw, but I think there's too much value, and I'm too middle of my range here to keep playing. If it was heads up, maybe I would have called. No, he said hurry up. 10 high rainbow board. 3% of the time, this has happened like 5 times in a row. It continues to be 10 high rainbow board. I guess that's plausible. So 2 players left. Analyze stack depths. Everyone's at about 100 or more big blinds. I'm at about even. We got different players to analyze at this point. Oedipus, JWJ, and Mick. Someone's hit trips. In the big blind, 7-5 offsuit. This would probably be a loose call if people were playing GTO. Fortunately, it limps to me. I get to see a cheap flop. Queen high paired board. 16% of the time, boards are paired. 17% of the time. Queen high specifically, I would say is like 4% of the time. 6 that comes in doesn't change anything. I'm not going to even bluff at this. No point. Not my pot. 2 new players, both sitting down with 10. So everyone's at about 100 to 200 big blinds. There's a big overbet here on the river after checks through. What is he saying? Saying he has a queen or 4-5. I don't care enough about this pot. Multi-way with 7 high. Jack 7 offsuit in a small blind. Not even going to look, going to fold. Yeah, so I also want to verbalize the what is he saying when he makes that bet? Because everyone's telling a story, and half the time their story is they're not lying, and I have to trust them. So when people start telling stories, I'm going to either trust them if it makes sense or think they're bluffing if it doesn't make sense. Ace high, mono. 5% of boards are mono. Ace high about 1% of the time. That's the second ace high 1%er we've seen. So we've seen a lot of 10 high boards and ace high monos. 5-3 in the button. Offsuit, nothing to do. King high, 2 to a flush. That is, I'm gonna guess, around 9% of the time. I wrote it down. It is about 9% of the time. 9% of boards are flops are about king high with ace with 2 of a suit on the board. I think it's ace high 11% of the time with 2 flush, king high 9% of the time. And I think when it comes to rainbow, which is less frequent than 2 flush, you get ace high I think 7% of the time. Let me double check. It looks like 7% of the time. Yeah. 46% of boards are unpaired with 2 flush. 31% of boards are unpaired rainbow. Check me on that, Gemini. I think that's in my brain. Ace king offsuit. We got a playable hand. Snap folds by 2 people in position. Small blind is thinking. MJC, new player. JWJ, we know him. He's been pretty straightforward. He folds. So the one hand I get to play, everyone folds. Queen 7 offsuit. Just going to fold that in under the gun. Oh, yeah. Creating a range here. Let's go back to that. 40 combos. Are we in zone? 40 combos is equal to 3% of all hands. 1,326 hands. I correctly stated that in last video. I have chunked little pieces of the starting hands to create range. Okay, so I have 7-4 suited king in the big blind on a limped pot. The original limper is going to bet pot. I'm just going to fold here, out of position. Turns out I would have, if I chased the rabbit, drilled my straight. Okay, limper under the gun with a, we're going to, with a raise, and then from small blind ace 10 offsuit, we're going to put in the 3-bet to 80 cents. A little loose, but that's okay. Stacked pot ratio about 5-1. Jack 4-4. I can probably bet this one with all my range small, and I did that, and he folded. He snap folded. Okay, we're gonna skip this hand. We got Jack 4 offsuit. Okay, so let's create a range. Number one, all suited Broadway hands are. It makes 40 combinations. That's exactly 3% of the 1,326. The pocket pairs make 78 combinations, which is about 6-ish%. So suited Broadway plus pocket pairs is about 9%. Then you can add, I do offsuit top 4 hands. So there's 12 each, and that makes about 48. So I say 3.5% of, which includes ace king, ace queen, ace jack, and king queen offsuit. So that's another 3.5%. So now we've created a range that is 12.5%. All suited aces, 9 down, is how many are there? I think it's about another 3%. So now we're at 15%. Suited gappers plus. I'm gonna have to correct myself later. Suited gappers plus suited connectors, I think is it's gonna be 48 combos, another 3-ish%. Then I decided to combine. Oh, this is what I did. All suited aces, 9 down, plus king 9 and king 8 make, and king 7 make 40 combos, so 3%. That's about 18%. So we're starting to build a larger range here. So then I think I combined it like king 6, queen 8, queen 9, jack 8, 10 7. Oh, all the kings, all the rest of the suited kings plus queen 8, jack 8, 10 7, another 10, because another 10 suited hands makes 40 combinations because there's 4 per suited, and then that would make another 3%. Now we're at like 21%. Okay, that was a lot of rambling. Gemini is going to check me on that one. But back to poker. We are straight up even right now. $10.17. No big hands. I think good play, when I do play good, because I want a better score this time, Gemini, is you need to be really selective. I mean, tight aggressive. I just got to play fewer hands. I think sometimes I just like to play. And now I got a competition with myself to get a better score. And then that'll probably translate to better live play. We're going 24 minutes. We might go a little bit longer this time. I don't think there's a need to call it early. Jack 9 in the button. MJC, haven't been paying too much attention to him. He's new. Leads in the under the gun. 3 big blinds. There's a call by JWJ. Probably not GTO because he was in the low jack. Now cutoff raises. So he 3-bets the 2 of them. I'm going to just get out of here with Jack 9 offsuit. This is Mick. All right. JWJ calls king 5-5. King paired board is going to be king high paired board. I'm going to say 2.5% of the time. I don't know. King high paired board. I think I'm close to right. 2.4%. All right. Looked back, not paying attention. Call. Stacked pot ratio of 1. Mick, what are you going to do? On the river, there's a flush that came in. JWJ, all right, that's good to note. He smooth called the original razor with 9-4 suited, then got 3-bet and called, and then drills his flush. So he's playing a lot of hands. Ace King in the cutoff, raise. I've been choosing 4 big blinds because people aren't discretionary. Ace Jack 6 rainbow. Frequency of this is going to be 7%. Value Aces Jacks 6. We're gonna bet Ace King for value right here. Oedipus folds. SBR was 5-1 ish. I haven't really talked pot odds, minimum defense frequency, because I haven't been in a situation yet. Ace 7 suited in the big blind folds all the way around me. I mean, I could see online you just have to pick up these little blinds over and over and over again, and maybe you get $10 here or there. 9-5 offsuit in the small blind, just going to fold that. I think you can probably limp a pretty high range, but that's probably one of the few that you just don't. 6-2 offsuit, nothing to do here. Let's go back to the combos and percentage counting. 10 suited hands equals 40 combinations equals 3% of the total starting hands. All right, 6s. In the hijack, raise, Oedipus calls, small blind call, big blind, war pigs, don't know who this is. Flop, ace 7-7. Pocket 7s, pocket aces, and then any 7 is good for value. No many intuitive bluffs. Probably 2s, 3s, 4s would be a good bluff. I'm going to check this back. MJC is going to check this. I'm going to check this. Turn was a jack. Doesn't change much. You can maybe bet a jack for value on the river here. I'm going to check it back. Oedipus is going to check. I win with pocket 6s. 3s was checking down. $1. What were they telling me the whole time is that they didn't have any of that. Queen 9 offsuit in the big blind. Limped pot. King 10-4 rainbow frequency 6% on the rainbow boards. Kings 10s 4s, King 10, King 4 are all the values. Are those in the ranges they limped? I don't know, maybe. They bet 10, so I have to call 10 in a pot of 50. So that's like, I need like 16% equity, easy call, because if I drill a jack, I am going to have near nuts. 10 into 62 right now. Wow. 10 into 80. What are my, I have basically a jack out, which would come out to 4 times 2, 8%. Do I have 8% equity? 10 into about 80 pot, I would say, is, I don't have it right off the top of my mind, but probably 14% equity, so I definitely didn't have it. Turns out Ace King was limping. Very interesting, and he had the king, and he was betting very tiny for value. So That is very not standard. King 6 off and the button. I could have raised that if it was folded to me. Does it amount to about 50% of your range? It's close. 4-2 off. Limp to pot. So right now I'm $11.20, up $1.20. The whole desire to beat Gemini's rating of me is making me play cleaner for sure. It's making me pay attention, which I like. Maybe need a little slap in the face saying, hey, you're just a 5 out of 10 player, and it might be true. Queen 5 offsuit. Gonna fold. I don't know. In Club GG, I can look at the frequencies of raising, but there are no heads up like analysis here. You just kind of got to pay attention. Club GG, you can get a lot of stats on your opponents. I like having those stats. If you're really paying attention, I guess you don't need those stats because you'll be paying attention. Okay, so Queen 9 offsuit in the big blind against cutoff raise. I think this is a call. We'll see what happens. Pot is 90. So we have an SBR of about 10-1. King high 2 flush is going to be 9% of the time. King Jack 8, Kings Jacks 8s, King Jack, King 8, Jack 8 are the values. No one bets. Small blind leads in his range. What does he have? What is he leading for? He could be doing King Jack, maybe 8s, maybe Jacks. I have no flush draw, only a gut shot. He doesn't give me enough equity because that's 4 times 2, 8%, and I needed 33% to make that call. And I wasn't going to float with someone behind me. I have 10-4 suited in the small blind. Drinks the coffee. King high paired board, 2.5% of the time. The 2 flush and rainbow paired boards are at the same frequency. Because once you're at a paired, you know there's at least it's not going to be mono. I don't know if that logic makes sense, but either way, King 5 with 2 of the same suit versus King 5 rainbows at the same frequency, which I think is about 1.6%. That's a guess. Check me on that. King high or 10 high, 2 flush. We've come to terms with that. I think that's 4%. King high without a flush, 3%. Yeah. I haven't memorized anything 10 high and down because it becomes negligible. Like 8 high board with a flush on there is probably 3% of the time, maybe 2%. I don't know. The frequency of like a 2 and a 3 and a 4 high board, like you need exactly 2 to be a 2 high board, is never. 1 out of all the possible. All right, let's see. We're about 35 minutes in. Let's stay focused here. Under the gun, pocket 5s. We can raise this. In a really tight pre-flop range, pocket fives under the gun might not be great, but I don't think I'm getting 3-bet at the right frequency, so it's probably okay. Chuck Bronson, don't know him. He's in the big blind. He did not choose to defend. $11. All right. Still up about $1. Jack 2 offsuit in the big blind. Going to fold that. Not appropriate to call under any circumstances. King high rainbow. 5% of the time? 6% of the time? 6% of the time is my guess. About 6% of the time. Turner's an ace. 5, check, 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 check. Let's see, what are they saying if they bet? He bets pot. What is he saying? He's got a 5. Or maybe an ace. Ace 3 offsuit in the small blind. Not going to do nothing here. Nine high rainbow frequency. 3%, 2%. Maybe 2%. Not frequent. All right. Let's see. Raise and in position guy play check raise. What is he saying? He's set of 9, set of 6s, set of 2s. And if there's a bluff, it's 7, 8, queens, 9, set of 9s. Whoa! That's bad luck. Top set gets rivered by queens into a set of queens. Ooh, that is tough. I'm glad I'm not on that end. I don't have many hands to play. That was the first real hand that I've seen. Jack high, 2 flush, 5% of the time. I keep checking. Yeah, about 5. Turn comes in. SPR, 9-1, bet call. Pot. It's all happening too fast to analyze. Pocket 8s was betting for value into a jack, and the guy was calling down with the jack. I guess that's not great. That was MJC. Seems like he bets marginal hands. Let's put that in the bank in case we get in a hand with him. That's how you got to think in the future if you want to make good decisions. Still not in any hands, really. MJC raises. We're in the big blind with queen 3 off. We're just going to fold that again. Just no need to be in a tough spot against someone that might be a little bit too wild, because eventually they'll be in a spot with me where I have a good hand and then they put money in the pot, and my hand will tend towards value over them. Ace, queen 6, rainbow, frequency of this, I think 7% of the time. 7%? About 7% of the time. What was the nuts? Aces, queen 6s, ace, queen 8. A6, queen 6, all of it was plausible for the raiser. Small blind caller likely has an ace, maybe weak ace, but he's been checking back, so I'm going to guess he's got a middle pocket pair. Main guy has, okay, he had nothing, and then king was checking back, king high, and he turned a king. Queen 10 off in the small blind. If I was paying attention, is there something to do with this? I would say no. War Pig's standard raise. Don't know enough about him to get out of line. Defending from the small blind is always unpleasant. Flop comes king high, flush board, 9% of the time. Values kings, 10s, 2s. SBR 20-1. Checks through. Turn is a 4. Out of position checks through. Turn is river is a 5. I mean, what they're saying by, and then, he rivers a set. So he bet big. He overbet the pot. What is he saying? Literally, he's saying he has a set. Chuck Bronson might have been slow playing. a 10. Well, not slow paying, but marginal, so checking it back. We have 5-2 suited in the button. We're playing so few hands that maybe we'll get some respect when we raise. Queen 6-4, Queen 6 is 4s, Queen 6, all those are in my range. Frequency of this is maybe 5% of the time. I'm going to bet this because I have a gut shot. I bet 2/3 pot, giving him 30% equity. He calls. Queen on the turn doesn't change the nuts. I do have a pretty terrible hand right now, 5 high. We're going to continue betting this board because we're going to get a 6 or a 4 off. He might not respect it, but putting some pressure on these marginal holdings, and I get the fold with 5 high. Pocket 9s. So he's a limper. He probably has a wide range when he limped and I raised. So the likelihood of him having anything at all means I could have probably bet more frequently. And with the 5 high, I needed to bet if I wanted to win. And I still had a gut shot. Don't know what I've done on the river. If he called, maybe have to give up sometimes. Let's see if we get a call from the same guy. King high rainbow, kings, jacks, 5s, king, jack, king, 5. All for value. This is not value 9s. He could have any of that, so we'll check it back. Another jack comes on the turn. I have a feeling he's going to... Oh, he checks it back, so he likely doesn't have a jack, but we don't want to get juicy with it. And an ace. So he has a very wide range with his limp. He's going to bet pot here, which is going to put some pressure on me on my 9s exactly. I have to be good 33% of the time with a pot size bet. We're going to go into some of the time bank to think about this. What is he betting for value? He's betting an ace. He's betting king, betting a jack. He could have been slow playing. And a lot of, I mean, he has a huge range to do this with. Queen 10 might have been betting earlier. I think this is, am I good 33% of the time here? I don't think so. So we'll fold. Does he have a king? Does he have a jack? Probably not. Does he have an ace? 33% of the time? We'll fold. I don't think he's making too many bluffs there. That's why I think folding is more appropriate and that he errs towards value. If he's erring towards value, am I really good calling 33% of the time there when he's betting for value? Maybe bluffing 10% of the time and value betting 90% of the time. So there, it's just not worth making the call. So one thing I've also noticed, so I was comparing minimum defense frequency to break-even percentage yesterday. I'll compare pot odds or pot odds and required equity to EV calculations. And it's the way some of these sites teach you is you look at pot odds and you're thinking, what is the equity that your hand is going to be made good at the end? You have a flush draw, you have 9 outs times 4, you get 36% or whatever. And if they bet third pot, do you call? Well, it looks like you have 36%, and then you need 20% because they bet third pot. So, okay, now you're on the river, and they bet third pot. EV is the amount you could win times the frequency you win minus the amount you could lose times the frequency you lose. But it still comes out to EV of 0 if you calculate pot odds and figure out if you're good more or less than the equity that is required to have. So in the same way, it's like equity going on later streets. It's equity of how frequently am I good here, specifically here. So you have to calculate that and guess it based off of what the player is doing. And if they're very heavy on value betting, then how often are you good there with a marginal made hand? And it's 90% of the time, and they bet half pot. You need still 30% equity, or 25% equity. Yet they're value betting 90% of the time. So you're not good 90% of the time. So then so it's a negative EV play because it still kind of works out in that way. So I don't think I even have to calculate exactly EV. I just have to think in the same terms of pot odd and required equity, because that 0 point of EV is that threshold of, do you have the equity or not? The EV would be the raw number of how much you were making on that. So the bigger the pot, if it's 100 units, then that EV is going to be 100 units. Or if it's 1 unit, it's going to be 1 unit. So EV is a gross number, but still the threshold for positive or negative is just the equity from a pot odds calculation. And I think that's an easy place to start. So we'll see if I do EV calculations on rivers in the future. All right, ace-6 suited. We really haven't gotten many hands today, but I am verbalizing a lot, and I get a fold. I'm up literally $1.23 today. 3-2 suited. I honestly would love to have more hands to talk about, but we'll go 1 hour. And then I'm going to ask my buddy Mike to run the Gemini. Maybe I'll get a grade of 6 today. 6 out of 10. Eight-3 offsuit. The big blind. No point in calling this. I think as I learn this stuff and these percentages and these combo countings, I'll be able to, like, on the flop count combos of what he's doing, and then on the turn count combos. And I'm assuming the pros, the best of the best, are counting combos every way through and understanding the percentages, and they get the river and they're like, this exact amount of combos is how many my opponent should have in this spot. And are they giving me the exact equity to call, or they make that river bet is going to put a lot of pressure on? I'm assuming the best of the best do that. I know there's a lot of field players out there, but they also have intuition with having learned this at some point. King 2 suited in the small blind. If it folds to me, I think I can raise it. It does not fold to me. I'm not going to mess around. Don't know MJC well enough to mess around. Flop is 5-3-3 paired. That's probably 0.3% frequency. But the nuts are pocket threes, pocket fives. Over pairs are general nuts. Here now we have a 4 come in, ace high. Who has more ace high? Stack to pot is he bets over pot, and then there's a call. You need 33%. They both have ace high. Makes sense. Okay. 10-6. Just nothing to do here. So I'm playing probably 8% of hands right now. Is that a good representation of how many I should be playing, specifically on the button? Probably not. I should be playing close to 50 hands on the button if it folds to me. I should be 3-betting at a high frequency, but I'm just not getting any cards, so my sample size is relatively small. And I'm trying to play a little bit longer to get a bigger sample size. I'm going to play 12 more minutes. See how this whole thing ends out. $7-6. The only reason I'm going to raise this if it folds to me is because my frequency is low. I might get a little extra respect. I will be in position. Small blind calls, big blind calls. So Jack 5-2. Jacks 5s 2s are the nuts. These guys are playing any 2 cards. I'm going to bet small here. 33%. They have 20% to call. Do I continue blasting away? There are hands you can continue blasting. My range is relatively tight. Chuck Bronson, we're gonna check back for Chuck Bronson. I think we have to give up here, or check raise the river. He's been a little trappy. I don't win with a check. It doesn't make sense for me to bet unless I bet big. So I'm going to just check it back. And he had a 5. So I would have had to blast 2 streets. I think he's a little sticky. That's why I gave up. Maybe blasting the turn big, but I didn't have the hand to do it. So he had ace 5. His range could have included anything. I lost that hand, lost $1 because I got a little loose on the pre-flop raise with 7-6 offsuit. So maybe a little bit of boredom in there. I thought I would get a little bit of respect. I do think if I'm c-betting that flop and I get a call, am I preparing to blast the turn with nothing? So am I always c-betting that flop? I think there was backdoor draws I could have gotten, so that's why I c-bet that flop, because I wasn't going to win any other way. And I gave up on the turn. Because then I could be punting without any equity whatsoever. So I think it was an appropriate give up. I was in that spot because I got a little loose on the pre-flop. The opponent is playing too many cards. So maybe that c-bet makes them fold any random high card. So I think it's appropriate c-bet, actually. But once he calls, I don't want to have to make the pot any bigger with nothing. That's the thought process for that hand. We're up 26 cents. Ace 8 offsuit. So we're still not getting any hands that are remotely playable. You lose a lot in these dominated hands. A lot of reverse implied odds. What happens if I hit an 8 or an ace or an 8? I don't want any pot to be big unless it's 8-8-8. Limit pot right now. Sometimes you can steal. I'm not even gonna mess around here. I don't like it because there's probably gonna be 2 people behind me with significant reverse implied odds, and since they're limping, they could be limping with stronger aces and then limp call, and then we hit an ace, and then I put a lot of money in. I've got 8 minutes left, and we have oscillated between $10 and $11 for 1 hour. 10 high, 2 flush board, 4% of the time. Yep. Seen that one a lot. Jack 9 offsuit in the small blind. Ace high rainbow, 7% of the time. Check, check. What are they saying? Someone's saying they might have a queen if they're not betting it for value. Now they have value. So if they bet it, they're saying they likely have a queen. I don't think anyone's still playing at this point. Check, check, king high versus 9 high. So they both just had nothing, and they were both giving up. Queen 7 offsuit, just nothing to play at all. This is card death. How many hands is that? I really wish I knew my frequency right now. I think I'm playing 8% of hands, not even. Aces full wins that hand. 5-minute countdown. King 3 offsuit. See, now I'm getting annoyed because I'm just card dead. But I want a good grade, so we're going to keep folding until it makes sense. Queen high rainbow. 4% of the time? 5% of the time. 9-3 off. We're right about at starting stack. We're at $10.10. King high 2 flush. 9% of the time. Kings 10s 8s. What is he saying? He's saying he's got a king. King 10. 9 comes in. Queen jack come in. 7-6 come in. Those plausible. Check, check. Jack is gonna win this or flush. Yeah, so he bet ace king on the flop, and then then checked back. Pot control, I guess, on the turn when his nuts got downgraded, especially when the caller's range was all over the queen jack middle pair. Jack 7 suited. Playable. So he limps to me. I'm going to raise it in position because I like being in position. He calls. King 10-3. I'm going to c-bet this entire flop. He's going to check back with the 10. He's been playing a lot of hands, and he's a little sticky on the turn, so we're going to keep betting. So lucky me. He probably has a 10. If he has a 3, which he could have, I just beat him on the river. I don't need to put more money in the pot on the 10, so I have at least a little bit of showdown. I'm going to just check it. He had ace queen, so he has ace high, and I rivered a 7. So he's very sticky. He's very sticky. And then maybe if I blasted one more street. So good to know. Chuck Bronson, sticky player to the river. Ace king in the small blind raise. King 3-4. Kings force 3s. I have ace king, which is value. We're going to bet that one larger because we want the pot to get bigger. King high rainbow includes king high flushish is say 9%. 4 comes in, pairing the low card. Frequency of him having 4, relatively low, but he could have a king, and we're going to go big here. Unfortunately, if he clicks it back, it's... So now I'm charging all the flush draws. We went 125% pot. Now we have pocket 8s on the button. We're going to raise it. We got one caller in the big blind and Chunk Bronson, our sticky friend. So he does a little limp raiser. And he raises it rather large to $2.80. I'm going to use some of my time on this one to think it out. I'm probably going to end up folding, but that's okay. A lot of these limp raisers tend towards value. It's almost never bluff. Do I have equity to call implied odds? I mean, rough calculation, I have to call 240 to win 10, and I need 10 to 1. That's like 5 to 1, so there's no implied odds there. So we fold, assuming he had an overpaired, because they tend towards value. Chuck Bronson likes the limp sticky. And last minute here. We'll just get the last hand in before the blinds. Jack high, 2 flush. 5% of the time. I call it 2 flush when there's 2 to the flush. So instead of saying like somewhat suited or flush draw, 2 flush. I'm not paying attention to this hand, so I have one more hand. It'll be the last one. And someone drilled the not straight. Ace 3 offsuit. We're going to fold that. So total, we are up $1.89. Don't know what my score is going to be. A lot of analysis. Definitely thinking out loud helps me play a lot more focused. Not wanting to make mistakes. And verbalizing it makes me be like, oh, yeah. When I do dumb stuff, I'm now aware of it because I've verbalized it. So that helps. All right. We'll check back when we get a grade. Deuces.